The face skins that I recommend using, we've gone through like a lot and we've tried them all. We're constantly making content about like teaching people how to tattoo. So we're always experimenting with like different materials that we can use. I'd recommend Pound of Flesh if you're already a professional tattoo artist and just looking to do a portfolio piece. You're not really as concerned about like the practice and getting better at tattooing as opposed to like trying a new technique and showing off your work. They're quite expensive too. And then we went to Real Skins and they were great for like a really long time, but I think they changed the formula. They're kind of like sweaty and sort of greasy now. So they're heaps different to what they were before. But right now, at the moment, we're using Skins, SKINZ. But yeah, that's what we're using right now. And we're actually in the process of developing our own fake skins, which is super, super exciting. We've just tried so many different ones and, I guess you could call the artist's ego, but I feel like we can get it closer to what it's like to actual human skin. So we're actually working on developing in that right now. Still a while away. It's going to be some time before we have like a prototype and start making those available to you guys. But yeah, right now, that's what we're using and they work great. Or at least they're the best ones that we've found so far. I mean, we're trying to make ones even better. I don't think it matters if they're on Amazon. Like some tattoo supply, I know Real Skin is on Amazon and it's real. It's not like knockoff. So the main differences between fake and Real Skin. So you hear a lot of artists, especially like the older heads that are not as open-minded to, people learning online and stuff like that. They're like, oh, the only way to learn is like an apprenticeship because fake skin, it's not the same as tattooing an actual person. And that's true, right? Fake skin is not the same as tattooing a person. I'm sure like a lot of you guys have either tattooed like yourself or, someone else. You know that it's different. Real skin, it bleeds, it stretches. You're not tattooing on like a flat surface. It moves. So yeah, 100% it is different tattooing an actual person than is tattooing fake skin. But if you tattoo a couple hundred fake skins before you ever touch a person, your first tattoo on a person is going to be way better than someone that's never touched fake skins. Okay, you can get so many dumb mistakes out of your system on, silicone sheets way before you ever touch a human being. And it's going to massively compress, the learning curve as well. Like in the beginning, your first few tattoos are not going to be the best. Like that's just the way that it is in learning any skill. But you can massively compress that figuring it out period by doing a bunch of tattoos on fake skin, figuring out how to hold a tattoo machine, the different techniques, pendulum shading, lining, how to actually control and use a mag. If you can figure that out on fake skin first, then your journey or your time on tattooing actual people is going to be just way, way easier. Just learning how to actually like maneuver a mag like around an intricate design, that's massive. Once you feel comfortable with that and you get the hand strength and you can maneuver that around lines and tight little spaces and stuff like that, it just gets so much easier to tattoo an actual person. One thing I would say is you want to get in the habit of stretching the skin, even though you don't have to with fake skin, because, if you're tattooing and you just have your hand over the side chilling, like when you go to tattoo a person, you're not going to have a good time. So if you're doing lines and stuff like that, always practice like stretching the line, doing your 3-point stretches and doing your lines. Or if you're going sideways, you can stretch the skin like this. You don't always have to like maneuver your hand like that, but just get in the habit of doing that. That's going to just make it so much easier when you start tattooing people, because you can do everything right. I mean, everything. You can get the right angle, you can use the right voltage, the right depth, the best machine. If the skin isn't properly stretched, it's not going to matter. Like the needle's just going to bounce off the skin and you're not going to get like good lines. That's why positioning is so important too. Like whenever you're tattooing someone, you want to position them in a way that the skin stretches itself. Like, if you're tattooing a tricep, getting someone to put their arm over their head like this, when you're tattooing, massively stretches out that tricep. That just makes the back of that arm so much easier to tattoo, like by a lot. It's so underrated getting the positioning right on a client because it just makes a mad difference. So doing tattoos on yourself, it's kind of a rite of passage. I strongly recommend doing it on your thigh. Don't tattoo your arm, bro, because you need both hands to tattoo effectively. That's kind of how I learned. Like literally this tribal tattoo that I did on my thigh, that was my practice leg when I first started out. So it's served me well over the years. Practice on 1mm fake skins, interesting for depth control. Yeah, dude, you gotta be careful though, because if you're using fake skins that are that thin, well, it's very easy to bash needles into the table underneath. It can really mess up your machine. The last thing you want to do is like spend a couple $100 on either like a Peak Solace or something, or like a critical or whatever, and then it just gets busted. So that we cover the difference between fake skin and real skin. And the next question we get a lot is, how do you know when you're ready to tattoo actual people and make the transition from fake skin to like human skin. And this one's like, it's pretty obvious, like at least to me. It is easier to tattoo fake skin than it is to tattoo people. It's hard, like when it comes to blending and fully saturating, it's a little bit more difficult on fake skin because ink just doesn't kind of spread as much under the skin. When you're packing color on a person, it actually saturates a bit easier. You know, when you tattoo fake skin, you'll hold them up to the light, you'll see like all like this uneven like kind of patchiness that, you know, if you had packed like in a similar way on an actual person, would actually fully saturate it. But yeah, the way that you know you're ready, when you can do an awesome tattoo on fake skin, like when you can do a professional quality, grade quality tattoo on fake skin, you can do perfectly saturated lines, everything's super clean, your shading's super smooth. That's when I'd say you're ready to tattoo actual people. Because if you're struggling to do a crisp, clean as fuck tattoo on fake skin, then you're going to struggle even more tattooing on a person. And it takes some time, man. Like I'd say, you know, depending on where you're starting from, like in terms of the art, like if you've never picked up a pencil before, you're going to have to do like a few hundred fake skins before you're going to be ready to the point where you're going to be able to confidently put a small tattoo on someone's leg. Okay, when you're starting out tattooing, just take the pressure off. Okay, the legs is the easiest part of the body to tattoo. You know, you don't want to be starting off on like hands and throats and necks and stuff like that, or torsos. Leave that stuff till later. When you can do a nice tattoo on a leg, okay, then you go to an arm, and then you go to like the torso. And once you get familiar with the torso, you can pretty much tattoo anywhere on the body. But you don't want to start out there because especially the calf, like the skin is so tight on the calf, you barely even have to stretch it. You just kind of put your hand there, and you can kind of just like tug the skin just like a tiny little bit, and that's good to go. Especially if they're lean, the person you're tattooing is really lean and muscular, then yeah, their skin's going to be like super tight anyway. So start with tattooing legs. When you can do an awesome tattoo on fake skin, then move on to tattooing actual people. I tattooed a Goku on myself and I realized that everything that I learned on fake skin does not work on real skin. I wouldn't say not necessarily everything. Going back to what a couple of people said before, like learning how to control the machine, that works really, really well. You know, just getting comfortable with, you know, how a mag actually works, because it's got 2 rows of needles on top of each other. If you move side to side like this, you slice up the skin really quick, but when you turn it on an angle and then you go, you know, up and down or like an oval formations, then it puts in a lot more ink. All those principles still apply, but yeah, if you try and do some of the stuff that you do on fake skin, like you can't just keep putting in a light tone of ink again and again and again, and gradually gets darker. Whereas with fake skin, you can. Like I use the gray wash set from Dynamic, and when I tattoo fake skin, it's the 20%, almost as dark as black. So yeah, that definitely does not happen on an actual person. You can't just like go from black to 20% and get a smooth blend. I massively dilute my inks when I do any fake skin tattoos, and so does Brandon as well. When we do like courses and stuff like that, or videos, we always like have it on screen, like what our dilutions are and stuff, and we use a completely different dilutions for tattooing actual people. So it's more for just getting comfortable with the machine and figuring out the hand movements that you need to take. And then again, start on the legs, guys. You cannot make it any easier for yourself by starting on the legs. I see beginners, sometimes they're doing like full backs, they're doing necks and stuff like that. You're setting yourself up for failure if you just approach those really, really hard spots from day one. And it rattles your confidence too. There's nothing worse than, you know, doing a tattoo on someone and then, you know, not having it turn out the way that, you know, maybe one of you expected. And then it's like, that's like on you, you know what I mean? Like that emotional guilt of putting a tattoo on someone that, you know, potentially you weren't ready to do sticks with you, man. Like I definitely did a couple of tattoos when I was an apprentice, probably a little bit over my head. And to this day, man, I still remember what they are. You know? So baby steps, start off with small, tiny tattoos on the legs and just work your way out from there. It's the best way to go about it. Next question I get is, have I ever tattooed myself? I think it's a good experience, but it's not like tattooing another person. When you're tattooing yourself, the logistics are difficult because it's hard to reach. You can't sort of focus on, you know, doing the right technique so much because you're in pain. Like the deeper you go with the needle, the more it hurts. So you tend to want to back off a little bit, especially when you get the big mags out and you want to, you know, saturate like an area of skin. But I guess it's good to tattoo yourself because it takes the pressure off. You know, your first client is terrifying. I remember the first tattoo that I ever did, I still remember the guy's name, Lockie McFarlane. If you watch our videos, bro. Thanks for being my first client. But yeah, I tattooed a skull on the back of his calf. It took me like an hour to set up my machine. I used rotaries back then. I didn't have a pen. I had like an ergo machine. And just even putting the needle bar through the tube, like I was just like, my hands were shaking. I was like so stressed out. Start off small. It just massively takes the pressure off. And also, yeah, tattooing yourself, it just helps you get rid of those nerves. It helps you kind of get used to the feeling. It's like, okay, this is how the needle interacts. I can see that I'm not hurting people. I can see when I, you know, scoop the skin, it's like, oh, I know what that feels like, so I know not to do that to other people. It's good so you have like that little bit of empathy. Yeah, Jeff did a big kanji on my thigh. Nice, bro. Kanjis are really good first tattoos as well. If you're doing it on other people, because they're very forgiving. You can tattoo a kanji with a round shader, because you know how you get like the painted effect on the kanjis. If you just do it with a round shader, like it's really hard to mess up. You just you can literally brush it and you don't even have to outline it.